As someone with ADHD, goals can be really exciting to start, often because we're very creative. We come up with a lot of good ideas for the things that we want to do for the person that we want to become. And our dreams can feel like they're finally becoming reality when we start writing them down into goals. But if we try to take on too much all at once, we set ourselves up to be overwhelmed, and that can lead to letting ourselves down when it all seems like just too much. Goals don't have to be all or nothing, and they don't have to be so rigid that it feels like just another pressure that you've put on yourself or something that you have to get done. Working towards what you really want should be fun. It should leave you feeling excited and a little bit of anticipation, not frustrated and scared that you won't be enough. Today I'm going to teach you a technique that I used years ago to help me to reach some really high, almost impossible goals. This is episode 9, why goals for people with ADHD are even more possible, but only if you use a system that works with the way your brain works. Welcome to Slay ADHD, where we help entrepreneurs to recognize the ADHD struggles that are slowing their growth and may be costing them in time, money, and missed opportunities. We'll be teaching you the tools to work around these difficulties while helping you develop the skills to make real progress and finally build the business that you've been dreaming of. I'm so excited to share with you my favorite goal-setting system. It is so simple that you may be a little bit skeptical about its effectiveness, but I promise you, if you give it a try, it is an excellent way to reach your really big goals. I learned the system years ago, and when I used it, I was able to transform my life in ways that I only dreamed of. Using this system, I bought a home on my own as a single mom and renovated it. This is a big deal because I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do that again once I became a single mom. It was a really big deal to me. It was a dream come true. And then I went back to school to get my bachelor's degree while running my own business and succeeded at that. I got that bachelor's degree and continued to grow from there. And I initiated a dinner group that turned into a really amazing tribe of women that provided support to all of us in ways that we wouldn't have had before. I guess I can speak for myself. I struggle with friendship, and this was an amazing group that made a huge difference in my life. Most of these women have told me how valuable this tribe was to them and how it has also enriched their lives. First thing we're going to do is talk about why traditional goal setting often doesn't work for people with ADHD. There are lots of people out there who will teach you all types of ideas for creating habits and reaching your goals. They may come with a lot of steps and a lot of rules like SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. That's just too many rules for an ADHD brain. The other method is breaking down that big goal into milestones and then action steps and objectives, and pretty soon there's so many bits and pieces and parts to keep it all together that 99% of people with ADHD just can't handle that many steps or rules because it just immediately sends you into overwhelm and shutdown. And then it takes all of the fun out of it, and then once we're done planning the whole thing out, our nervous system kicks into gear and we feel overwhelmed and frustrated and we just give up. We have a tendency to be big picture thinkers. We want big things for our life, and it's a really good thing. You should be excited about what you desire and you can envision for your future. And because you have that desire, you definitely have the ability to achieve it, and you should be able to believe in yourself to know that you can achieve it. When I was really young, I decided that if there was something that I really wanted, if I wanted it badly enough, I would be able to get it, or it would happen for me. And guess what? The results in my life have proven this to absolutely be true. There's a couple of things we need to keep in mind. Remember that what you focus on, you will find evidence of. What you focus on, you will find more of. What you focus on, you will find opportunities to make the next steps towards achieving or becoming or having in your life. It really is true. It really does work. Give it a try with something small and see what happens. But if you focus on how hard your goal is, or think about all the things that you need to do all at once, your brain will start finding the evidence of how hard it is and will give you lots of reasons why it won't work. That's when frustration, overwhelm, and abandonment kicks in. For people with ADHD, with busy brains that tend to like to think 5 steps ahead of where we are right now, if we spend time thinking about steps that need to be done before we're at a place to take those steps, that is a setup for failure. It's really stressful when you're focusing on something you believe you should be doing, but you aren't in a place to do yet. Does that make sense? When you're focusing on something that you should be doing and you think, I should be at this place now, I should be doing this now, but you really aren't in a place where you can actually do it yet. That's when you start falling into that self-criticism, when you start to feel like you're never going to get this goal accomplished just because you can't get it all done at once, or you can't get to the step that you wish you were at right now without taking, A, B, and C step before you jump into D and E and F. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think some of you might relate to this also. So for people with busy brains that are trying to take a 30,000-foot view of your goal, way too much of the time, I'd like to invite you to consider approaching your big goals using this unique and simple system. Now, the system can be used with up to 5 or 6 categories. I think when I used it first, I had a personal health, family, business, financial health, social goals. But I'm asking you right now to start out by narrowing it down to just the 3 categories that we discussed last week. And those were business, personal health, and relationship. If you really want to add 1 or 2 more, go ahead. This is your life, your dreams. You're the one who's working on it. Do what feels right to you. Just don't add so many that you start to lean into overwhelm and stress. Pay attention to how you feel in the process. If stress or fear start to come up, take a step back, re-examine how you feel. If stress creeps in, remove something. Pay attention to see if the stress settles down in your body. While it's true that there are only so many hours in a day, if you're intentional and working on only the next right steps one at a time, you'll be surprised how much faster you'll be able to get through to completion compared to trying to do all of it all at once. The reason why this works is that when you take the pressure off of yourself and you know what the next straightforward thing is that needs to be done, you give your full mental and emotional attention to just one thing. With only one thing to complete, it gets done quickly, then you get to have that sense of accomplishment, which gives you that little dopamine hit. Then you're more excited and more ready to take on the next step, which leaves you more likely to do what it takes to get to the finish line. When the time is right, you'll be ready to do what comes next. You get to decide, you get to feel more in control of your future. Now let's get into how to make this system work. I start with a whiteboard or a white poster board. And this is going to be my goal central, I don't know how else to put it. This is the place where I'm keeping my goals. It's big, it's visible so that I can refer to it on a regular basis. When I used this before, I kept it in my closet, which was the perfect place because I could refer to it every day when I walked through that closet to pick out clothes to wear for the day. I could see what my goals were. I could refer to them, and it kept me motivated. But it wasn't for anybody else's eyes. Nobody else was looking at what I had. I didn't have to worry about anybody else judging me on what my goals were or where my progress was. That was all up for me. On the top of my goal board, I like to put an inspirational phrase. The last time I did this, the quote on the top was, "And out of small things," which came from a scripture that talks about when you're making small steps, those small steps can turn into something really big, which is kind of what this is. Today, the quote that I put at the top of my current board is, "Have the end in mind, and every day make sure you're working towards it." This is by Stephen Covey. Okay, now the rest of this board, I have different categories that I've set up by color. So there's, as you can see, color-coded. At the top, we have business, personal, and social goals. And I'm going to be really vulnerable and share with you what my goals are for this year. Once I've reached those goals. These are on Post-it notes. You can see it's really easy to pull them off and start over again if you're ready to take it up a level and do even more. So I'm going to share with you what I've got. First of all, I've got the categories up at the top of the page. At the bottom of my goal board, I have the final results of what my goal actually is. This is what I am working towards. In business, I have helping 200 new clients to grow their business. Now that's a big one. And I do recommend that you pick something really big that almost feels impossible, that feels really hard, but feels really excited to you. Knowing that you don't have to know all of the steps and exactly what it's going to take to get there. This is just what you really know that you really want. That's something really big. The next one I have is for personal health, which is physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And I'm going to share with you what I've got. My goal is to have 2 months to be IBS and anxiety free. Now, in order to reach that goal, I know I'm going to have to work on myself physically. I have to eat well. I'm going to have to exercise. Mentally, I'm going to need to read and do some writing and some journaling. Emotionally, I'm going to need to do some yoga. I might need to do some meditating. For social, I have a position in my church where I help the young women, which is all of the girls aged 11 through 18. And my goal socially is to meet and get to know every one of those girls. Some of those girls don't come to church, they don't come to activities, and it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So that's my big challenge for this year. Meet and get to know something about every one of those girls. So we've got the goals set up. Now, where do we go from here? This is the beauty of this chart. I love this. I hope that you will appreciate the beauty of this and give it a try yourself because it really is valuable. Okay, so what we're going to do is one small goal at a time that is working towards our big goal at the bottom. But we're not looking at all the bits and pieces and where to go all along the way. You don't have to know what's going to happen next and where you're going to go next. We're going to put the first goal right underneath business. My first goal is to have 200 views on my podcast. You're watching the podcast now, I hope, and this is only episode number 9. It's barely brand new. It's just started. In order for me to get to 200 views on my podcast, that was a word. In order for me to get to 200 views on my podcast, I'm going to have to make a lot of podcasts, and I'm probably going to have to improve on them each time I go. And the more I do it, the better I'm going to get, the more I'm going to figure out how to make this microphone situation work out better, the camera, whatever needs to improve, I'll figure that along the way as I work towards getting 200 views on my podcast. That's going to help me work towards actually finding 200 people to help grow their business. The personal, we talked about, my personal goal. My first step, which is all I'm going to worry about for now, is meditate-ish. It isn't just meditating. It's doing anything that allows me to have time for my mind to unwind and come down. So for me, that could be walking without wearing earbuds, just walking the dog, and having time for my mind to just relax and to free flow and to think while I'm walking. I can journal. I think really well when I journal. It's a good way for me to get all those busy thoughts in my head to become linear instead of a big jumbled mess. The other thing I can do is yoga. It's going to have to be journaling, walking, or yoga to help me to bring my mind back down and get into place. Okay, for social, I want to meet and get to know each of these girls in our young women's class. So I'm going to start by memorizing their names. It's something simple. I have a list of who all of the girls are, and I can start by memorizing their names, looking at the names on the list, thinking about them, trying to put a name to a face, and maybe asking the other women who know these girls what they might know about them. And that's really all it is for now. It's really very simple. It's just one step at a time. So what you'll do is you'll keep this, like I said, someplace where you can see it. Other people don't need to see it. This is your thing. But once the thing at the top has been completed, once I get 200 views on my podcast, I'm going to decide from there what's going to happen next. Because right now my thought is 200 views on the podcast. My next step might be I need to improve my advertising and get more advertising out there. Maybe I need to do better at my newsletters. Maybe I want a better open rate on my newsletters. But by the time I finish this, something else might come to mind that might be even better. I'm leaving myself open to inspiration. That's something I invite you to do also. We tend to be really highly intuitive as people with ADHD. So give yourself permission to do just the one thing at a time. And when that's completed, ask yourself, what do I think is the best thing to do next? And this way, it's really straightforward and it's simple. You save yourself a lot of frustration of thinking that you have to have it all figured out right now, and you better follow an exact specific plan if you want to be able to make those big goals at the bottom, if you want to grow a really successful business, if you're trying to make that $1 million mark, or if you're just trying to make enough money to not have to work a full-time job anymore and take on your business as your full-time thing. Whatever it is that you have in mind that you want, seeing what you really want down here at the bottom so you can be excited about, and then seeing what one step is that you can do one little bit at a time on a regular basis, somewhere where you can see it regularly, is all you're going to do for now. And you'll be surprised how keeping this in your forefront will help your brain to notice things when they come up. So there might be something that may come up that I might hear a friend talk about, or that I might hear another podcaster talk about what they did to get more views. And as I know what these things are that I have in mind that I want, my brain will start finding the little bits and pieces that help me to fill in this puzzle, because your brain is going to work towards what it is that you focus on. Remember what we talked about earlier. What you focus on, you will find evidence for, you will find opportunities for, and you will find a way to go ahead and do the things that you really want the most. Now that you've completed the first step towards meeting your ultimate goal, we're going to move on to what happens next. Next, we talked about you intuitively knowing what would happen, what you would need to do next. You're going to write that down on another Post-it and put it just below the first Post-it that had your first step that is now completed. So now when you're looking at this poster, you're going to see the completed goal and what you're working on next. Once that's completed, you'll put another new Post-it below that, working your way all the way down to the ultimate goal that is sitting at the bottom of your whiteboard. Now, the reason this is important is then you can see what you have done, feel accomplished, know that you can make progress, and still seeing the ultimate goal at the bottom so that you can feel motivated for something that you really want, and you can see that you're making progress. Not just know it, not just have it on a document somewhere or written in your phone that you've taken care of it. You actually have a visual that helps you to see that progress is coming, that you are making it, and that you are reaching something really important. It helps you to stay motivated and to stay excited in this process. I hope that this was helpful in getting you started in setting really big goals and feeling really good about being able to get through them and accomplish them. Next week, we're going to talk about creating some simple balance habits so that you can show up more intentional when you try to reach your bigger goals. If you've enjoyed anything that you've heard today and you've found any of it to be helpful, please share this episode with friends that you think can relate to these issues and leave a review. It helps others to find us. And if you're ready to dive deeper, I invite you to check out my free masterclass that can help you to give you a better understanding of how ADHD shows up in business and what you can do to move past these problems. Until next time, I wish you an enjoyable, purpose-filled week.